Words can open doors or close them forever. They can inspire trust, move hearts, win opportunities, or they can create distance, confusion, and regret. Every day, your success, relationships, and influence are shaped by how you communicate. Speaking smart isn't about using fancy vocabulary or delivering perfect speeches. It's about understanding people, choosing your words with purpose, and speaking in a way that makes others listen, remember, and respond. The truth is, powerful communication is not a gift given to a lucky few. It's a skill you can learn, refine, and master. And when you do, it changes everything. Your conversations become more meaningful. Your ideas get heard. Your presence commands respect. You gain the ability to navigate difficult moments with ease and turn small encounters into life-changing opportunities. In this audiobook, we will explore the psychology behind communication that truly works. You will discover how to own the room before you speak, how to make people want to listen, how to balance logic with emotion, and how to adapt your words for any audience. You will learn strategies to handle conflict with composure, make your message unforgettable, and speak in a way that leaves a lasting legacy. This isn't just about talking. It's about connecting, influencing, and leading through your words. By the time you finish, you will not only speak smarter, but live smarter. So take a deep breath, open your mind, and get ready to transform the way you communicate. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Own the room before you speak. Before you even say a single word, people are already making judgments about you. They're reading your body language, your energy, and the way you carry yourself. It's not fair, but it's real. We all do it, because the human brain is wired to make quick impressions. And here's the truth. If you don't own the room before you speak, your words may never get the attention they deserve. Think about the last time someone walked into a room and instantly made you take notice. They didn't need to shout. They didn't even need to introduce themselves right away. Something about their presence said, "I belong here." That's the kind of presence you want to create, not arrogance, but quiet confidence. Owning the room starts with your posture. Stand tall, shoulders relaxed but back. Make eye contact, not in an intimidating way, but as if you're genuinely seeing the people in front of you. Keep your movements calm and deliberate. When you walk, walk with purpose. When you pause, pause with intention. Every physical cue sends a message about how much you believe in yourself, and that belief is contagious. Your energy matters just as much as your posture. If you're nervous, people will sense it. If you're confident, people will feel it. One of the best ways to shift your energy is to control your breathing. Slow it down, deepen it. This instantly steadies your voice and grounds your presence. Here's another secret. Don't rush to speak the second you arrive. Let your presence do some of the talking first. Take a moment to absorb the space, connect with the faces in the room, and then speak. That pause creates anticipation, and anticipation makes people lean in. Owning the room isn't about being the loudest person there. It's about being the most centered. When you walk into a meeting, a social gathering, or even a one-on-one conversation, your calm, confident energy should tell people this person is worth listening to. Because once you've claimed that space, once you've silently earned their attention, everything you say next will land with more power. And that, my friend, is how you begin speaking smart, before you even open your mouth. Chapter 2. Think before you speak. The art of intentional words. One of the most underrated skills in communication is pausing to think before you speak. Sounds simple, right? But in reality, most people do the opposite. They speak first, then think about what they've just said, and sometimes regret it. Words once spoken can't be taken back. They can be forgiven, yes, but not erased. That's why intentional speaking is such a powerful skill. It keeps you from scattering words carelessly, and instead helps you deliver them with precision and purpose. Thinking before you speak doesn't mean overthinking until you freeze. It's not about doubting yourself or staying silent when you have something important to say. It's about creating a small mental space, a gap between what you want to say and how you actually say it. That gap is where wisdom lives. It's where you choose the right words, the right tone, and the right timing. Consider this: every word you speak is like a stone you throw into a pond. Some stones create gentle ripples that spread positively, while others create waves that crash and disrupt. Your goal is to be aware of the ripples before you throw the stone. Ask yourself, what effect will this have? Will it build trust or damage it? Will it inspire or discourage? Will it bring clarity or confusion? Those few seconds of thought can make the difference between a conversation that moves forward and one that falls apart. Intentional words also carry more weight because they're deliberate. People notice when you choose your words carefully. It makes them feel like you value the conversation and respect their time. Even if you're speaking casually, a thoughtful pause can make your listener lean in, curious about what you're going to say next. Here's a simple technique. Before answering, take a slow breath in. Not a dramatic one, just enough to slow you down. This does two things. It calms your nervous system, and it signals to others that you're being thoughtful. Often, the most influential communicators aren't the ones who speak the fastest. They're the ones who make every word count. Another aspect of thinking before you speak is anticipating how your words will be received. Different people interpret things differently based on their mood, background, and personality. What sounds neutral to you might sound harsh to them. That doesn't mean you walk on eggshells, but it does mean you're aware of your audience. You adapt, not to be fake, but to be effective. For example, if you're giving feedback to a colleague, you might pause and frame it in a way that encourages growth, rather than sparks defensiveness. Instead of saying, "This isn't good," you could say, "I think we can make this stronger by..." Same truth, different delivery, and one is far more likely to produce a positive outcome. Intentional speaking also means avoiding filler words when possible. These slip in when we're talking faster than we're thinking. The solution isn't to speak robotically. It's to slow down enough that your words flow naturally without clutter. Silence, even brief silence, is far more powerful than meaningless noise. And remember, thinking before you speak applies to every setting. Whether you're answering a question in a meeting, chatting with a friend, or speaking to a large audience, the principle stays the same. Give your mind a moment to choose the best version of your message. That tiny pause could prevent misunderstanding, reduce conflict, and increase your influence. So here's the challenge for you. The next time you're in conversation, experiment with that gap between thought and speech. Resist the urge to fill every second with sound. Let your words emerge with intention. Over time, you'll notice something powerful. People will start listening more closely to you, because they know you don't speak without meaning what you say. Speaking smart starts long before the sound leaves your lips. It starts in the quiet space where you decide, "This is worth saying, and this is how I'll say it." Master that, and you'll not only avoid unnecessary regrets, you'll speak with a clarity and confidence that makes your words impossible to ignore. Chapter 3. Make people want to listen to you. It's one thing to speak. It's another thing to make people want to listen. The truth is, attention is earned, not given. We live in a world full of noise, phones buzzing, notifications popping, thoughts racing. When you talk, you're competing with all of that. So, if you want your message to stick, you have to give people a reason to lean in, not tune out. Think about the last time you were truly captivated by someone speaking. Maybe it was a friend telling a story, a teacher explaining something in a way that finally made sense, or a leader who made you feel like you mattered. They didn't just throw words at you, they drew you in. That's the magic we're after. The first key is starting strong. Don't waste your opening on bland phrases or unnecessary details. Grab attention with a question, a short story, a surprising fact, or even a simple but powerful statement. The first few seconds decide whether people will follow you all the way or mentally drift away. Next, you have to speak to people, not at them. When you speak at someone, you sound like you're delivering a lecture. When you speak to someone, you sound like you're having a conversation. Even in a crowd, make your words feel personal, like you're talking directly to one person at a time. That personal touch makes people feel included, and inclusion makes people listen. Another secret, show genuine interest in them. People naturally listen more closely to those who make them feel seen and understood. This doesn't mean faking it. It means caring enough to tailor your message so it resonates with their needs, concerns, or dreams. If you can speak to what matters to them, they'll give you their attention. Your energy plays a huge role too. Monotone voices and lifeless expressions are attention killers. But you don't have to be overly dramatic. You just have to let your natural enthusiasm come through. Vary your tone. Use pauses for impact. Lean forward slightly when making an important point. People respond to energy because energy tells them this matters, and then there's the power of storytelling. We've been wired for stories since childhood. Facts and instructions are fine, but stories connect on a human level. They make ideas memorable. Even a short example or personal experience can make your point far more powerful than a list of bullet points ever could. Also remember that clarity is more attractive than complexity. Trying to sound smart by using complicated words can backfire. People may tune out because they feel lost. But when you explain things simply and clearly, you don't sound less intelligent. You sound more trustworthy and relatable. And that's what keeps people listening. Finally, make people feel something. People may forget what you said word for word, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Whether it's inspired, curious, understood, or motivated, if you leave them with a feeling, they'll remember you. And the next time you speak, they'll want to hear more. So here's your takeaway. Making people want to listen to you isn't about flashy tricks or trying to be someone you're not. It's about being present, starting strong, speaking with genuine care, using energy wisely, telling relatable stories, and keeping your message clear. If you can do that, you won't have to fight for attention. People will naturally give it to you. They'll stop checking their phone, stop glancing around the room, and instead, they'll be locked on you, waiting for the next word. Because in the end, communication isn't just about what you say, it's about the connection you create. And when that connection is real, attention follows effortlessly. Chapter 4. Speak to the mind, touch the heart. If you want your words to truly move people, if you want them to remember you long after the conversation ends, you can't just speak to the mind, you have to speak to the heart as well. The most powerful communicators in history understood this. They knew that logic convinces, but emotion inspires, and when you combine the two, you create influence that lasts. Speaking to the mind means offering clarity, structure, and reason. It's the facts, the logic, the well-thought-out points that make your message believable. People's minds need something solid to hold on to, something that makes sense and is grounded in truth. But here's the thing, facts alone are rarely enough to spark action. You can give someone all the reasons in the world, and they might nod politely and then do nothing. Why? Because you haven't moved their heart. Touching the heart is about connecting emotionally. It's about empathy, stories, and the human side of your message. When you make someone feel understood, when you stir hope or urgency, you activate a different part of them, the part that drives decisions. We don't just think our way into action, we feel our way into it. The key is balance. Too much logic without emotion feels cold and distant. Too much emotion without logic feels dramatic but unconvincing. The sweet spot is blending them seamlessly. Start by presenting your point in a way that makes sense, then anchor it in a story, an example, or a personal truth that makes people care. Imagine you're trying to encourage a team to work harder on a project. Speaking only to the mind might sound like, "We need to meet the deadline to keep our client happy and maintain revenue." Logical, yes, but not exactly inspiring. Now add heart. If we meet this deadline, we're not just keeping a client, we're proving that when we commit to something, we follow through. No matter the challenge, that's who we are. Now it's not just about numbers, it's about pride, identity and purpose. Touching the heart often means showing a bit of your own humanity. Share a personal story that relates to your point. Admit challenges you've faced. Celebrate the wins of others. When you open up, people feel safer to open up too. And that openness strengthens the connection between you and your audience. Tone also matters. Even the most logical point can be delivered in a warm, inspiring way. A calm, confident tone builds trust, while a passionate, animated tone can light a fire under someone's motivation. Just be authentic. People can sense when enthusiasm is real and when it's forced. And don't underestimate the power of words that create imagery. The mind remembers pictures better than sentences. If you want to touch the heart, paint a picture with your words. Instead of saying, "This will improve our community," say, "Imagine walking down your street and seeing every family thriving, every child smiling, every neighbor proud to call this place home." Suddenly it's not just an idea, it's a vision people can feel. When you speak to both the mind and the heart, something powerful happens. People not only understand you, they believe you, trust you, and feel driven to act on what you've said. That's how movements are started. Relationships are strengthened, and opportunities are created. So the next time you communicate, whether it's a conversation with a friend, a meeting at work, or a presentation in front of a crowd, ask yourself, have I given them enough to think about, and have I given them enough to feel? If you can answer yes to both, you've done more than just speak, you've connected. And connection, my friend, is the true heart of powerful communication. Chapter 5. The power of listening more than talking. Most people think great communicators are the ones who speak the most, say the cleverest things, or dominate the conversation. But the truth is, the best communicators are often the best listeners. They know that listening is not just about being polite. It's about gathering information, understanding the other person, and building trust before they even open their mouth to respond. When you truly listen, you make people feel valued. And that's rare. Too often, we're not really listening, we're just waiting for our turn to speak. We're forming our reply in our head while the other person is still talking. The problem is, when we do that, we miss the deeper meaning behind their words. We miss the tone, the emotion, the small clues that reveal what they really mean. Listening more than you talk puts you in a position of strength. Think of it like this: when you listen, you learn, you gather insight that helps you respond with precision instead of guessing. You uncover what matters most to the other person, which makes your response far more relevant and persuasive. People trust those who get them, and you can't truly get someone unless you've heard them. Active listening goes beyond nodding and saying, "Aha." It's about engaging. It means you maintain eye contact, avoid distractions, and give signals like nodding or small affirmations that show you're following along. You might even repeat back what you've heard, not like a parrot, but in your own words. So what you're saying is, this shows you value their words enough to process and reflect them. Another key part of listening is asking follow-up questions. Instead of steering the conversation back to yourself, dig deeper into what they've shared. That's interesting. How did you handle that? Or what made you feel that way? These kinds of questions invite the other person to open up more, and in that openness, you build connection. One of the most overlooked benefits of listening more than talking is the control it gives you over the conversation's direction. When you speak too quickly, you reveal everything up front. But when you listen first, you can choose what to say based on the most useful information you've gathered. It's like playing chess. You see the board before you make your move. Listening also diffuses tension. In heated conversations, people often just want to be heard. If you can keep your cool and listen instead of immediately defending yourself, you take the emotional edge off the exchange. This doesn't mean you agree with everything. It means you understand before you respond. That alone can turn arguments into problem-solving discussions. And here's a little secret. When you listen deeply, people will think you're a better communicator, even if you speak less. Why? Because you'll be speaking to what matters most to them, not just what you think matters. Your words will carry more weight because they're grounded in understanding, not assumption. So how do you start listening more than you talk? First, slow down. Resist the urge to jump in. Let there be space in the conversation. Second, put your phone away and give your full attention. People can tell when they don't have it. Third, remind yourself that everyone you meet knows something you don't. If you approach every conversation with curiosity, you'll naturally start listening more. When you master this, something amazing happens. People seek you out. They want to talk to you because you're not just another voice in the noise. You're someone who makes them feel heard, respected, and understood. And in a world where most people are talking over each other, being a great listener is one of the smartest, most powerful communication tools you can have. In the end, speaking smart doesn't always mean speaking more. Sometimes it means holding back, leaning in, and letting the other person's words guide you. Listen first, speak second, and watch how much more powerful your words become. Chapter 6. Command respect without shouting. There's a common misunderstanding about respect, that you have to be loud, forceful, or intimidating to earn it. But here's the truth. The people who command the most respect often speak the softest. Their power doesn't come from volume. It comes from presence, from certainty, from the way they carry themselves and deliver their words. Think of someone you admire. Chances are, they don't need to raise their voice to get your attention. They don't need to dominate every conversation. Instead, when they speak, there's something in their tone, in their timing, that makes you stop and listen. That's because real authority doesn't have to shout. It radiates. The first step to commanding respect is to respect yourself. If you don't believe your words matter, neither will anyone else. This means standing tall, speaking clearly, and choosing your words with care. You don't rush. You don't stumble over your sentences. You give your ideas enough space to breathe, because you know they're worth hearing. Respect also comes from consistency. If you're unpredictable, agreeing with one person, then flipping your stance with the next, people won't take you seriously. But if your words match your actions, and your actions match your values, you become someone people trust. Trust and respect go hand in hand. Your tone plays a huge role too. A calm, steady voice is far more powerful than an angry one. When you raise your voice, you may get attention, but you often lose influence. People might hear you, but they'll focus more on your emotions than your message. A controlled tone, on the other hand, makes people lean in. It shows you're confident enough not to be rattled. Commanding respect also means setting boundaries, clearly and without apology. You can say no without being rude. You can disagree without attacking. In fact, the way you handle disagreements says a lot about your character. If you can stay composed, make your point, and still treat the other person with dignity, you'll earn more respect than any loud outburst ever could. Another key is knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is pause. Silence creates space. It shows you're not desperate to fill the air, you're waiting for the right moment. That patience tells people you're in control, and control is magnetic. Respect is also built through listening. People are more likely to respect you if they feel you respect them. When you listen fully, without interrupting or dismissing, you communicate that their words have value, and when you respond, they'll be far more willing to hear you out. Body language matters as much as words. Keep your head up, your shoulders back, and your posture open. Avoid fidgeting or crossing your arms defensively. Your physical presence should match the calm authority in your voice. Even the smallest nonverbal cues can strengthen or weaken your message. And finally, remember this: you don't have to prove your worth in every sentence. People who try too hard to sound smart, important, or dominant often end up losing respect instead of gaining it. True authority comes from a quiet confidence that says, "I know who I am. I don't need to prove it every second." When you command respect without shouting, something powerful happens. People don't just listen because they have to, they listen because they want to. They trust you. They value your perspective. They carry your words with them after the conversation ends, and that is far more powerful than any loud voice in the room. So don't waste energy trying to be the loudest. Instead, be the clearest. Be the most consistent. Be the one whose calm, confident presence makes people take notice. That's how you speak smart, and that's how you earn lasting respect. Chapter 7. The Psychology of Influence in Everyday Conversations. Influence isn't something reserved for politicians, salespeople, or public speakers. You use influence every single day, whether you realize it or not. Every time you ask for help, share an opinion, recommend an idea, or try to get someone on board with your vision, you're influencing. The question is, are you doing it intentionally, or are you leaving it to chance? The psychology of influence is simple in theory, but powerful in practice. At its core, it's about guiding someone's thoughts, feelings, or actions without forcing them. It's persuasion without pressure. The best influencers don't push people, they lead them to see the value for themselves. The first principle of influence is connection before persuasion. People are far more likely to be open to your ideas if they feel you understand them. This means listening first, asking questions, and showing genuine interest in their perspective. When someone feels heard, they're naturally more willing to hear you. Next is credibility. Influence is built on trust, and trust is built on consistency and honesty. If your words don't match your actions, your influence crumbles. But when people know you're reliable, when you follow through on your promises, they'll lean toward your ideas almost automatically. Another powerful tool is framing. The way you present information shapes how it's received. Imagine telling a colleague, "We need to finish this project, or we'll be in trouble." Now compare it to, "If we finish this project early, we'll impress the client and free up time for other priorities." Same goal, different frame. One creates fear, the other creates motivation. The second one is far more likely to get people moving. You can also use social proof, the idea that people often look to others to decide what's right. If you can show that others have taken your advice, enjoyed the benefits, or supported your idea, it builds a kind of safety net for the person you're trying to influence. They think, if it worked for them, maybe it will work for me too. Don't underestimate the role of likability. We're naturally more open to people we like and respect. Likability doesn't mean trying to please everyone. It means being authentic, approachable, and positive. People gravitate toward those who make them feel good about themselves. And then there's the subtle art of planting seeds. Not every influence happens instantly. Sometimes, you simply introduce an idea and let it sit. You don't force agreement right away. You give the other person time to process. This makes the eventual yes feel like it was their choice all along, which is the strongest form of influence. Another psychological factor is reciprocity. When you give value first, whether it's help, information, or even just kindness, people feel naturally inclined to give something back. It's a human instinct. If you want someone to support you, look for ways to support them first. But perhaps the most important thing about influence is integrity. Influence used purely for personal gain or manipulation may work in the short term, but it destroys trust over time. Real influence is about creating win-win situations where both you and the other person benefit. That's the kind of influence that lasts. So here's how you can use this in everyday conversations. Slow down, connect first, frame your message in a way that inspires, share proof when possible, be likable but authentic, and always act in a way that builds trust. If you apply these principles, you'll notice something remarkable. People will start agreeing with you more often, not because you pressured them, but because you helped them see the value in your perspective. You'll find that conversations become smoother, decisions get made faster, and relationships grow stronger. That's the psychology of influence, not loud, not aggressive, but quietly powerful, and once you understand it, you'll never look at a conversation the same way again. Chapter 8. Speak in a way people remember. We've all had conversations where the words go in one ear and out the other. Maybe the speaker was rambling, maybe they were too vague, or maybe nothing they said stood out enough to hold our attention. Now think about the opposite. Those rare moments when someone says something and it stays with you for days, even years. That's the kind of speaking you want to master. Not just speaking so people hear you in the moment, but speaking so they remember you long after you're gone. The first step to being memorable is clarity. People can't remember what they don't understand. If your message is buried in long, complicated sentences or technical jargon, it will fade quickly. Keep it simple. Strip away the extra words until only the core message remains. The simpler the language, the easier it is to hold on to. Second, use imagery. Our brains remember pictures more easily than plain statements. Instead of saying, "Work hard for your dreams," you might say, "Lay a brick every day, and one day you'll stand in front of your own fortress." The second one creates a mental image that sticks. The more you can make your listener see what you're saying, the more likely they'll remember it. Then there's the power of storytelling. A story doesn't just deliver information, it makes people feel something, and emotions make memories stronger. You don't need an epic tale, even a quick personal example can make your point come alive. A short, real moment that illustrates your message will stick far better than a list of bullet points ever could. Repetition is another secret weapon. Advertisers know this well. They repeat slogans because the brain needs multiple touches before something sticks. You can do the same in conversation. Restate your key point in different ways throughout your talk. Not so much that it's annoying, but enough that it becomes impossible to forget. Your tone and rhythm matter too. The way you say something can make it unforgettable. A sudden pause before delivering your key message forces the listener's mind to focus. Varying your pace, slowing down for the important parts, speeding up for energy, keeps their attention. A flat, monotone delivery makes even the most brilliant words disappear. Analogies and metaphors are powerful as well. They take something unfamiliar and make it relatable by comparing it to something people already understand. When Steve Jobs introduced the iPod, he didn't say, "It has 5 gigabytes of storage." He said, "It's 1,000 songs in your pocket." One sentence, memorable forever. Another way to make your words stick is to speak in sound bites, short, punchy lines that can stand on their own. These are the kinds of phrases people repeat later, even to others. Think of them as takeaway lines that capture your point in a way that's easy to quote. And don't underestimate authenticity. People remember words that feel real. If you're speaking from experience, from conviction, from truth, your words carry a different kind of weight. Forced or borrowed lines rarely stick, but something you truly believe will have a natural impact. Finally, leave them with a feeling. People might forget the exact words, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Did you inspire them, challenge them, make them laugh, touch their heart? If you can attach your message to an emotion, you've already made it memorable. Speaking in a way people remember isn't about memorizing perfect lines or trying to sound impressive. It's about clarity, imagery, storytelling, rhythm and authenticity. It's about creating a moment in someone's mind that they can't shake, even if they wanted to. So the next time you speak, whether it's one-on-one or to a room full of people, ask yourself, will they remember this tomorrow? Will they remember it next year? If the answer is yes, you're not just speaking smart, you're leaving a mark. And that's the kind of communication that changes lives. Chapter 9. Handle difficult conversations like a leader. No matter how skilled you are at communication, you will face difficult conversations. It might be a disagreement at work, a sensitive topic with a friend, or an uncomfortable truth you have to deliver. Many people dread these moments. They avoid them, delay them, or stumble through them. But here's the reality. Avoiding a hard conversation rarely makes things better. More often, it lets the problem grow until it's even harder to deal with. Handling difficult conversations like a leader doesn't mean you'll enjoy them. It means you approach them with courage, calmness, and clarity. Leaders don't run from hard talks. They face them head-on, but they do it in a way that protects relationships while solving problems. The first step is preparation. Before you step into the conversation, know exactly what you want to achieve. Are you aiming to find a solution, to clear up a misunderstanding, to set a boundary? Having a clear goal keeps you from getting lost in emotions or side arguments. Next, control your emotions before you even start. If you go in angry, defensive, or overly emotional, you'll trigger the same reaction in the other person. Take a moment to breathe, center yourself, and enter with a steady tone. Remember, your calmness can calm them too. When you begin, start with respect. Even if you disagree, acknowledge their perspective or the value of your relationship. Something as simple as, "I appreciate the work you've done, and I want us to be able to talk openly," can lower defenses right away. One of the most powerful skills in a hard conversation is listening without interrupting. Let them share their side completely, even if you disagree with every word. When people feel heard, they're less likely to get defensive. You can disagree later, but first, let them speak. When it's your turn, stick to facts and specific examples. Don't say, "You always do this," or "You never listen." Those are vague and feel like personal attacks. Instead, say, "In yesterday's meeting, when you spoke over me twice, I felt dismissed." Facts give clarity, and clarity keeps the conversation focused. Also, use I statements instead of you statements. Saying "I felt frustrated" when it is less confrontational than "You made me frustrated." It shifts the focus from blaming to sharing your perspective. Another leadership skill is separating the person from the problem. The issue is the behavior or situation, not their entire character. Address what happened, not who they are. This makes it easier to resolve the conflict without damaging the relationship. Stay solutions focused. Once you've both shared perspectives, move toward, so what can we do to fix this, or how can we make sure this doesn't happen again? The goal isn't to win, it's to move forward. And remember, your tone is just as important as your words. A calm, steady tone shows strength. If your voice rises, slow down. If the conversation heats up, take a pause instead of pushing harder. Some difficult conversations won't end perfectly. That's okay. The win is in handling them with dignity and not letting them turn into battles. Sometimes, simply addressing the issue respectfully is enough to build trust, even if full agreement isn't reached. Lastly, follow up. If you agreed on a change or solution, check in later to see how it's going. This shows that you weren't just having the conversation to get it over with, you were serious about making things better. When you handle difficult conversations like a leader, people notice. They see you as someone who's strong enough to face problems, wise enough to listen, and skilled enough to guide things toward resolution. And that, over time, earns deep respect. So don't fear the tough talks. See them for what they are: opportunities to grow, to strengthen relationships, and to prove that you can lead not only in easy times, but in the moments that matter most. Chapter 10. Communicate with anyone, anywhere. One of the most valuable communication skills you can ever develop is the ability to talk to anyone, anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in a boardroom, chatting with a stranger at a cafe, or sitting next to someone on a long flight. When you can adapt and connect in any setting, you open doors you didn't even know existed. The truth is, people are different. What works with one person might completely miss the mark with another. Some people love direct, to-the-point talk. Others prefer a warmer, slower approach. Some enjoy humor, while others take things very seriously. The magic is in your ability to read the room and adjust your style without losing who you are. It starts with observation. Before you jump into a conversation, take a moment to notice the person's energy, tone, and body language. Are they relaxed or tense? Are they speaking quickly or slowly? Do they make a lot of eye contact or avoid it? These clues can help you match their pace and style so your words feel familiar and comfortable to them. Next, find common ground quickly. People connect faster when they feel you share something with them: an interest, a challenge, a goal. If you can find even one small point of connection, the conversation flows more naturally. This could be as simple as a shared experience, a mutual acquaintance, or even commenting on the environment you're both in. Another key is respecting cultural and personality differences. In some cultures, direct eye contact is a sign of respect. In others, it's considered rude. Some people love small talk before getting to business. Others want to get straight to the point. The more you understand these differences, the easier it is to adapt without accidentally creating tension. Don't underestimate the power of questions. People love to talk about themselves, and good questions show that you're genuinely interested. Instead of the usual, "What do you do?" try, "What's something exciting you're working on right now?" Instead of "How's it going?" try, "What's been the best part of your day?" Specific open-ended questions invite richer, more meaningful responses. When you communicate with anyone, anywhere, you also need to listen for the unspoken. Sometimes the most important part of a conversation is what's not said: the hesitation before they answer, the slight change in tone, the smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes. Paying attention to these details allows you to respond in a way that feels truly personal. Adaptability also means adjusting your language. If you're speaking to a group of experts in your field, you might use industry terms. But if you're talking to someone outside that world, you'll need to simplify without sounding condescending. The goal is always clarity, not showing off what you know. And here's a big one: drop the need to impress. People connect faster when you're genuine, not when you're trying to be the smartest person in the room. Your warmth, curiosity, and willingness to meet someone where they are will make you far more memorable than a perfectly polished speech. It's also important to read when it's time to end a conversation. Not every interaction needs to go on forever. If you sense the other person is distracted, in a rush, or ready to move on, wrap up gracefully. A simple, "It was great talking with you. I hope we can continue this another time," leaves the door open without overstaying your welcome. Over time, as you practice adapting to different personalities and environments, you'll find that conversations start feeling effortless. People will see you as someone who's easy to talk to, who just gets them. And that's a rare quality, one that makes you stand out in any crowd. Being able to communicate with anyone, anywhere, is more than a skill, it's a superpower. It means opportunities don't slip past you just because you weren't sure what to say. It means you can walk into any room, approach any person, and leave them feeling like the time they spent with you was worth it. And when you can do that, you're not just speaking smart, you're connecting in a way that lasts. Chapter 11. Turn small talk into big opportunities. Most people treat small talk like background noise, something you do while waiting for the real conversation to start. But the truth is, small talk is the real conversation. It's the doorway to deeper connections, to trust, and to opportunities you can't see yet. The person you casually chat with at a coffee shop could end up being a client, a mentor, or even a lifelong friend. The trick is knowing how to turn those little moments into something meaningful. Small talk usually starts in predictable places: weather, traffic, the latest headlines. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you stay there too long, the conversation will fizzle out. Your goal is to use those safe topics as a warm-up before gently steering towards something more personal, interesting, or valuable. The first step is to be genuinely curious. If you're only half interested in the other person, they'll feel it. Ask questions because you actually want to know the answer, not because you're waiting for your turn to speak. People can sense when they're being heard, and curiosity is magnetic. It makes others want to keep talking to you. Then listen for clues in what they say. If they mention they've just moved to the area, ask where from and what brought them here. If they talk about a hobby, ask how they got started. The smallest detail can be a springboard to a bigger, richer conversation. Another way to deepen small talk is to share something of your own, not too personal, but enough to show you're human. If they talk about loving to cook, you might share your most recent kitchen disaster or favorite dish. Vulnerability, even in small doses, creates connection. Your energy matters just as much as your words. If you sound bored or rushed, small talk dies quickly. But if you're engaged, smiling, making eye contact, leaning in, you create an environment where the other person feels valued. And when people feel valued, they're more willing to open up. One of the best skills you can develop is connecting the dots. Maybe the person you're talking to mentions they're struggling with a problem you know someone can solve. Offering an introduction or a helpful tip, even something small, instantly changes the conversation from casual to impactful. You've gone from polite chatter to being someone who adds value. And don't underestimate the power of remembering details. If you meet someone briefly and remember their name, their kid's soccer game, or that book they mentioned, you'll stand out. Following up later, "Hey, how did that meeting go?" turns a one-time chat into an ongoing relationship. Small talk is also about being present. If you're glancing at your phone or scanning the room for someone more important, you've lost the moment. The opportunity is always in the person right in front of you, not in the one you're hoping to meet next. Of course, not every small talk exchange will lead to a big opportunity. And that's okay. The point is to treat each one as if it could. Because sometimes the most unexpected encounters turn out to be the most valuable. The key is consistency, showing up in every conversation with openness, curiosity, and generosity. Think of small talk as planting seeds. You don't know which ones will grow or when. But if you keep planting, asking thoughtful questions, offering small kindnesses, making genuine connections, you'll eventually find yourself surrounded by opportunities you never saw coming. So the next time you're tempted to dismiss small talk as meaningless, remember every great relationship, every career-changing deal, every powerful connection started with a simple hello. Treat that moment with care, and you might just turn it into something that changes your life. Chapter 12. The voice that builds your legacy. Every conversation you have is more than just words exchanged. It's a piece of your legacy. Long after people forget the details of what you said, they'll remember how you made them feel, how you carried yourself, and the impact your words had on their lives. That's why your voice, your unique way of speaking, connecting and influencing matters so much. It's not just communication, it's reputation, it's the imprint you leave behind. When we talk about voice, we don't just mean the sound, we mean the style, the tone, the values woven into every sentence. Your voice is your signature in the world of communication. And just like a signature, it should be consistent and unmistakably yours. The first part of building a voice that lasts is integrity. People trust voices that match the person behind them. If you speak about honesty, but act dishonestly, your words lose power. But when your actions consistently back up what you say, your voice carries more weight. People start believing not just in your words, but in you. The second part is purpose. A legacy voice doesn't speak just to fill silence. It speaks to add value. That doesn't mean every conversation has to be profound, but it does mean your words should either help, encourage, inform, or inspire. When you speak with purpose, people listen differently. They know you're not wasting their time. Then there's consistency. If your tone changes wildly depending on your mood or audience, your message becomes unpredictable. But when your voice reflects the same principles, no matter the setting, you build trust. You become someone people can rely on, whether they meet you in a coffee shop or hear you on a stage. Another element is respect. The voice that builds a legacy doesn't belittle, dismiss, or talk over others. It respects differences, even in disagreement. This doesn't mean you avoid standing firm. It means you do it without tearing people down. Respect earns a kind of loyalty that shouting never will. And of course, there's inspiration. A lasting voice doesn't just pass along information. It lights a spark. It makes people want to do better, be better, or think differently. It doesn't have to be loud to inspire. It just has to be real. Often the quietest, most heartfelt words are the ones that stay with people for life. Your voice also builds your legacy through the moments you choose to speak and the moments you choose to stay silent. Sometimes, silence communicates more than words. Holding back when emotions are high, choosing not to engage in gossip, or letting someone else have the spotlight, can be just as powerful as a well-delivered speech. Think about the people whose words have stayed with you: mentors, leaders, friends, even strangers. Chances are they spoke with clarity, kindness, and conviction. They didn't just talk to you, they connected with you. That's the standard you want to hold yourself to, because every time you speak, you're adding a chapter to the story. People will tell about you when you're not in the room. So ask yourself, what do I want my voice to represent? Do I want to be remembered as the person who lifted others up, or the one who only spoke to impress? Do I want to be the one whose words built trust, or the one whose words were forgotten? These choices are made in the small moments. Every conversation, every meeting, every chance encounter. The beauty of this is that you don't need a title, a stage, or a spotlight to build a legacy with your voice. You can do it in daily life, at the dinner table, in a text message, in a short exchange with a stranger. Over time, those moments add up. They become the echo you leave behind, and that echo, your voice, your words, your presence, will live on in the people you've influenced. That's how you know you've spoken smart, spoken true, and spoken in a way that matters. That's how your voice builds your legacy. Conclusion. Speaking smart isn't about memorizing clever lines or sounding impressive. It's about understanding the deep power of your words and using them with purpose. Over these chapters, we've explored the many ways you can refine your communication, owning the room before you speak, thinking before you respond, making people want to listen, balancing logic with emotion, listening more than talking, commanding respect without raising your voice, influencing with integrity, speaking in ways people remember, handling difficult conversations like a leader, connecting with anyone anywhere, turning small talk into real opportunities, and building a voice that leaves a legacy. The truth is, communication is the thread that runs through every part of life. Your relationships, your career, your opportunities, they all grow or shrink based on how you express yourself. When you learn to use your voice intentionally, you begin to notice changes. People respond differently. Doors open more easily. Trust builds faster. And you start to realize that your voice is not just a tool. It's a bridge between you and the life you want to create. But none of this works if it stays as theory. The real transformation happens when you practice. It's in pausing before you speak. It's in listening without interrupting. It's in crafting words that inspire instead of just filling space. It's in showing respect even when you disagree. It's in making someone feel heard, valued, and understood. These aren't one-time actions, they're habits. And habits, over time, shape who you are. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it right every time. But if you commit to improving just a little in each conversation, you'll be amazed at how much more influence, connection, and clarity you gain. Remember, your voice is a gift. It can comfort, guide, teach, persuade, and inspire. It can bring people together or push them apart. Every day you have the choice to use it in a way that builds trust, creates opportunities, and leaves a lasting positive mark on the people around you. So as you move forward, carry this with you. Speak with purpose, listen with care, and never underestimate the effect your words can have. Because somewhere, someday, someone will remember something you said, and it might just be the thing that changes their life. That's the true power of speaking smart. And now, it's yours to use.